Cyber Threat Brief for April 2, 2026. Google patches the fourth Chrome Zero Day of 2026, CVE 2026-5281, CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, KEV, Known Exploited Vulnerabilities Catalog, deadline April 15. Axios NPM compromise attributed to North Korean state actor Sapphire Sleet, with platform-specific RATs. Over 14,000 F5 BIGIP APM instances remain exposed despite CVE 2025-53521 remote code execution attacks and federal patching deadline. Here's the full breakdown of today's top security stories. Daily Security Brief 2026-042. Next section, Critical Alerts. Chrome Zero Day CVE 2026-5281, under active exploitation, Google released emergency patches for CVE 2026-5281, a use-after-free vulnerability in Dawn web GPU implementation, actively exploited in the wild. This is the fourth Chrome Zero Day patched in 2026, following, and CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, added to the KEV Known Exploited Vulnerabilities Catalog on April 1 with a remediation deadline of April 15, 2026 for federal agencies. The vulnerability allows remote code execution through crafted HTML pages after compromising the renderer process. EPSS, the exploit prediction scoring system, score is currently low, 0, 11th percentile, but active exploitation confirms real-world risk, and 4 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. Action. Update Chrome to version 146.0.7680.177/178, Windows/macOS, or 146.0.7680.177, Linux, immediately. Verify by navigating to more help about Google Chrome. Chromium-based browsers, Edge, Brave, Opera, Vivaldi, should apply fixes as they become available. Federal agencies must remediate by April 15. Sources: The Hacker News bleeping computer CISA Security Week. F5 BIGIP APM, remote code execution attacks ongoing. CVE 2025-53521. Over 14,000 F5 BIGIP APM instances remain exposed to CVE 2025-53521 RCE attacks, despite CISA's March 31 federal remediation deadline. Originally disclosed in October as a DOS vulnerability, this flaw was reclassified as an RCE bug in March 2026 after F5 confirmed active exploitation. Unauthenticated attackers can achieve remote code execution on unpatched BIGIP APM systems with access policies configured on virtual servers. EPSS score is 0, 414, 97th percentile, indicating extremely high predicted exploitation likelihood. F5 has published IOCs and advises checking device logs, terminal history, and disk contents for compromise. Systems should be rebuilt from known good sources rather than UCS backups, as persistent malware may exist in backups created after initial compromise. Action: patch BIGIP APM immediately per F5 advisories. Review IOCs for signs of compromise. If evidence of compromise is found, rebuild systems from scratch using known good configurations, not UCS backups. BIGIP vulnerabilities have been targeted by nation-state and cybercrime groups for network breaches, device hijacking, and data theft. Source: bleeping computer. Axios NPM supply chain attack, attributed to North Korean Sapphire Sleet. Microsoft Threat Intelligence attributed the Axios NPM compromise to Sapphire Sleet, a North Korean state actor. On March 31, malicious versions 1.14.1 and 0.30.4 were released after a maintainer's NPM account was hijacked. The compromised packages inject a hidden dependency, PlainCrypto.js at 4.2.1, that executes platform-specific remote access Trojans, RAT, for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux via post-install hooks. The RAT connects to command and control infrastructure at sfrclack.com. 8000, performs reconnaissance, establishes persistence, Windows registry run keys, Mac OS launch agent, Linux cron, and includes self-destruct capabilities for evasion. Microsoft confirms sectors affected include business services, financial services, high-tech, healthcare, media, and retail across the US, Europe, Middle East, South Asia, and Australia. AI recruiting startup Mercer confirmed it was breached via this supply chain attack, with Lapsus Dollar claiming 4 terabytes of exfiltrated data, including biometric identity verification documents. Action: organizations using Axios 1.14.1 or 0.30.4 must rotate all secrets and credentials immediately. Downgrade to safe versions 1.14.0 or 0.30.3. Disable auto-updates for Axios packages, as the malware includes hooks that attempt further updates. Search for plain crypto.js dependency in package. JSON files. Check for Windows persistence, registry run keys, %program data %bic/wt, exe, Mac OS persistence /library/caches/com, Apple, act, mind, and Linux persistence /tmp/ld, pi, cron entries. Review network logs for connections to sfrclack.com, 8000. Sources, Microsoft Security Blog Unit 42. The Register. TrueComp 0-Day CVE 2026-3502, exploited in Southeast Asia government attacks checkpoint, discovered CVE 2026-3502. 0-Day in TrueComp conference servers, exploited since early 2026 by suspected Chinese threat actor in True Chaos. Campaign targeting government entities in Southeast Asia. The medium severity flaw stems from missing integrity checks in the software's update mechanism, allowing attackers who control on-premises TrueComp servers to replace legitimate updates with arbitrary executables that deploy to all connected clients. The attack chain includes DLL, dynamic link library, sideloading, reconnaissance tools, UAC bypass via ISICBL, EXE, and Havoc C2 implant deployment. TrueConf is used by over 100,000 organizations including military forces, government agencies, oil and gas corporations, and air traffic management companies. Fixed in version 8.5.3, March 2026. EPSS is minimal, 0. 0 first percentile, but confirmed exploitation makes this critical for TrueConf users. Action. TrueConf users must update to version 8.5.3 or later immediately. Organizations running versions 8.1.0 through 8.5.2 are vulnerable. Check for signs of compromise including PowerISO, EXE, 7ZX64, DLL, %appdata %bic/roaming /adobe /update, 7Z or ISC6, DLL, review server logs for unauthorized update distribution. Check network traffic for connections to Havoc C2 infrastructure on Alibaba Cloud and Tencent hosting. Source, Bleeping Computer. Apple iOS 18 Dark Sword Exploit Kit Protection, expanded iOS 18.7.7 availability to more devices on April 1 to protect against the Dark Sword Exploit Kit, targeting 6 vulnerabilities. CVE 2025-31277. All 6 are on CISA's KEV catalog, with remediation deadlines between January 2026 and April 3, 2026. Dark Sword was used by Turkish commercial surveillance vendor Pars Defense, threat actor UNC 6748, and suspected Russian espionage group UNC 6353 to deploy Ghost Blade and Fostealer, Ghost Knife Backdoor, and Ghost Saber malware. Previously, only iPhone XS/XR received iOS 18 updates, leaving newer devices on iOS 18 unpatched. The Dark Sword Exploit Kit was published on GitHub in March 2026, making it accessible to additional threat actors, and 5 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. Action. iPhone and iPad users on iOS 18 with automatic updates enabled will receive iOS 18.7.7 automatically. Users on iOS 18, 4 through 18, 7 should verify they are updated to 18.7.7. Devices now eligible include iPhone 11 through 16 series, iPad mini 5th gen, iPad Air 3rd 5th gen, and iPad Pro various generations. Organizations blocking iOS 26 upgrades should prioritize iOS 18.7.7 deployment. Sources, Bleeping Computer, The Hacker News. Next section, ransomware claims, last 48h. 6 claims tracked across 3 groups in the last 48 hours. No details provided. Crybit claims BJ Grupo and Kramer NSC. At sources, Ransomlook. Next section, ransomware and extortion. Killin ransomware dominates Japan in 2025. Targets healthcare and manufacturing. Cisco Talos reports Killin ransomware was responsible for 22 of 134 ransomware incidents in Japan in 2025. 16.4%, 4 times more than the second most active group. Total ransomware incidents in Japan increased 17.5% year-over-year. Killin primarily targets manufacturing, 28% of victims, automotive 8%, trading companies 7%, IT 6%, and education 5%, with small and medium-sized enterprises accounting for 57% of victims. The group emphasizes post-compromise activities after gaining initial access via stolen credentials purchased on Telegram and breach forums. Killen affiliates demonstrate high operational maturity with evidence of detailed attack manuals and awareness of penetration testing methodologies. In October 2025, Killen's leak site listed over 200 victim organizations globally. Healthcare and social assistance sectors are particular targets due to the severe operational impact of ransomware-induced disruptions. Some Killen affiliates have suspected ties to post-Soviet countries including Baltic states. Action. Organizations should prioritize credential security controls including MFA, multi-factor authentication, password rotation policies, and monitoring for credential exposure on dark web markets. Healthcare, manufacturing, and automotive sectors should review detection opportunities during pre-ransomware phases as detailed in Talo's research. Monitor for EDR killer malware usage by Killen affiliates. Source: Talo's blog. Next section, Business and Infrastructure Threats. Team PCP Supply Chain Campaign. Merkur AI first confirmed victim. AWS enumeration documented SANS ISC published Update 5 on the Team PCP Supply Chain Campaign, confirming AI recruiting startup Merkur as the first official victim of the light LLM compromise. Originally infiltrated via compromised Tailscale VPN credential, Lapsus Dollar claims approximately 4 terabytes of exfiltrated data, including 939 gigabyte source code, 211 gigabytes user database, and 3 terabytes of biometric identity verification documents, passports. This has GDPR, CCPA, and potentially HIPAA implications. Its Cloud Incident Response Team documented Team PCP's post-compromise cloud operations. The group uses TruffleHog to programmatically validate stolen AWS access keys, Azure secrets, and SA-S tokens, then transitions to discovery operations within 24 hours. AWS enumeration focuses on IAM roles, EC2 instances, Lambda functions, RDS databases, S3 buckets, and ECS clusters, with conspicuous resource names like Pawn and Massive Exfil. Flare Threat Intelligence shows Team PCP's cloud targeting is 61% Azure and 36% AWS, 97% combined. Action: organizations that used light LLM v1.82, 7 or v1.82, 8 must complete credential rotation immediately. Merkur's disclosure confirms active exploitation of harvested credentials. Search cloud audit logs for unauthorized IAM enumeration, EC2/ECS/Lambda discovery, and S3 bucket access. Rotate VPN credentials, cloud access tokens, and API keys accessible in compromised environments. Monitor for TruffleHog usage and resource names containing Pawn or Massive Exfil. Source: SanDisk. Evil tokens. FA-S fuels Microsoft device code. Phishing at scale. Sequoia discovered evil tokens, a malicious phishing as a service kit sold on Telegram that integrates device code phishing to hijack Microsoft accounts. The kit abuses OAuth 2.0 device authorization flow, tricking victims into authorizing malicious devices via QR codes or hyperlinks in emails impersonating financial documents, meeting invitations, logistics orders, or shared documents. DocuSign, SharePoint. Victims are redirected to legitimate Microsoft device login pages, where attackers receive short-lived access tokens and refresh tokens for persistent access to email, files, Teams data, and SSO impersonation across Microsoft services. The kit is under continuous development with plans to support Gmail and Okta phishing. Campaigns have global reach with highest impact in the US, Canada, France, Australia, India, Switzerland, and UE. A variety of campaigns suggest evil tokens is already being used at scale by phishing and BEC threat actors. Russian groups Storm 237, Yuta 032, Yuta 0355, UNK Academic Flare, TA 2723, and Shiny Hunters have previously used device code phishing. Action: implement conditional access policies restricting device registration. Monitor Azure Active Directory sign-in logs for device code flow activity. Authentication protocol equals device code. User awareness training should cover device code phishing recognition. Review OAuth application permissions and audit recently authorized devices. Block known evil tokens infrastructure using Sequoia IOCs and Yara rules. Source: Bleeping Computer. CertUA impersonation campaign distributes AJuhi's RAT to 1 million emails. Ukraine's CertUA disclosed a phishing campaign by threat actor UAC 0255 that impersonated the agency itself to distribute AJuhi's remote access Trojan. Emails sent March 26-27 from incidents at certua.tech and 3 additional domains. See show notes for the full list. Action: Ukrainian organizations should verify CertUA communications come from official cert. Gov. UA domain, not certua.tech. Block 54.36.237.92. Search for scheduled tasks or registry run keys referencing %appdata%/Microsoft/Windows/templates/DWM. CMD. Review startup directories for unauthorized entries. Source: The Hacker News. Next section, Windows/AD security. Classic Outlook email delivery failures linked to permission errors. Microsoft is investigating a known issue preventing some Classic Outlook users from sending emails via Outlook .com accounts. Affected users receive non-delivery reports, NDR. With error, you do not have the permission to send the message on behalf of the specified user. Error is 0x80,070,000-0x0004, DC 0x000524. The issue occurs more frequently when the Outlook .com account is a profile linked to another Exchange account, or when the sender's account has an Exchange online mail contact with the same SMTP address. Workarounds include removing the M365 account address book so Outlook doesn't check it during sends, hiding the Outlook .com contact from the M365 global address list, creating a new Classic Outlook profile with only the affected account, or using new Outlook client or Outlook .com web interface. Microsoft fixed 2 other known issues in the last 2 weeks, including Classic Outlook crashes, with Teams meeting add-in, and 0x800CCC 0f/0x80,070,057 sync errors for Gmail and Yahoo accounts. Action: organizations with users reporting Outlook .com send failures should implement workarounds per Microsoft guidance while permanent fix is in development. Monitor for additional reports of profile-based Outlook issues. Source: Bleeping Computer. Next section, Patch Priority. Chrome, update to 146.0.7680.177/100 and 78 immediately for CVE 2026-5281 0-day RCE. CIS a KEV deadline April 15. F5 Big IP App'em. Patch CVE 2025-53521 RCE vulnerability. EPSS 97th percentile, actively exploited, over 14,000 exposed instances. TrueConf, update to version 8.5.3 for CVE 2026-3502 0-day exploited in government attacks. Affects versions 8.1.0-8.5.2. Axios NPM, downgrade to 1.14.0 or 0.30.3 immediately if using compromised versions 1.14.1 or 0.30.4. North Korean supply chain attack. iOS 18. Update to iOS 18.7.7 to protect against Dark Sword exploit kit targeting 6 CIS a KEV vulnerabilities, publicly released exploit code. Next section, Vulnerability Disclosures. CVE 2026-5281, Google Chrome Dawn use after free, high severity. CIS added CVE 2026-5281 to known exploited vulnerabilities catalog on April 1. Use after free in Dawn component allows remote code execution via crafted HTML page after compromising renderer process. EPSS 0.0, 11th percentile, but confirmed active exploitation. Fixed in Chrome 146.0.7680.177/178. Federal remediation deadline April 15, 2026. Source: CISA. CVE 2025-53521 F5 BIGIP APM remote code execution. Critical severity. Originally disclosed in October as DOS vulnerability, reclassified as RCE in March 2026 after confirmed exploitation. Affects BIGIP APM instances with access policies on virtual servers. EPSS 0.414, 97th percentile. CIS a KEV deadline was March 30, but over 14,000 instances remain exposed. Shadows over track 17,100 IPs with BIGIP APM fingerprints. Source: Bleeping Computer. CVE 2026-3502 TrueConf 0-day update mechanism bypass. Medium severity. Missing integrity check in TrueConf server update mechanism allows arbitrary file execution on all connected clients. Exploited since early 2026 by suspected Chinese threat actor in True Chaos campaign targeting Southeast Asia government entities. Affects versions 8.1.0-8.5.2. Fixed in version 8.5.3. EPSS 0.0, first percentile. Source: Bleeping Computer. CVE 2025-43529, iOS Dark Sword exploit kit, and 5 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. 6 iOS vulnerabilities exploited by Dark Sword Kit targeting iOS 18. 418. 7. Used by Turkish surveillance vendor Pars Defense, UNC 6748, and suspected Russian group UNC 6353. All 6 on CIS, a KEV catalog with remediation deadlines between January 2 and April 3, 2026. Exploit kit publicly released on GitHub in March 2026. Fixed in iOS 18.7.7, expanded device availability April 1. Source, Bleeping Computer. Microsoft Security Update Guide CVS Microsoft published information on several new vulnerabilities. CVE 2026-5121. libarchive integer overflow leading to arbitrary code execution via ISO 9660 image processing, EPSS 0.2, 40th percentile. CVE 2026-2436. libsoup use after free DOS during TLS handshake, EPSS 0.1, 32nd percentile. CVE 2026-33216. NATS MQTT plaintext password disclosure, EPSS 0.0, 13th percentile. CVE 2026-5119. libsoup cleartext transmission of cookies during HTTPS tunnel establishment, EPSS 0.0, 5th percentile. CVE 2026-4897. Polkit DOS via unbounded input processing, EPSS 0.0, 3rd percentile. Sources, MSRC, 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 and 4 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. Next section, General Security News. Caspinero banking Trojan targets Latin America and Europe via dynamic PDF lures. Brazilian threat actor, Augmented Marauder WaterSasai, is conducting multi-pronged phishing campaigns targeting Spanish-speaking users in Latin America and Europe to deliver Caspinero, Metamorpho, banking Trojan via Horrobot malware. The campaigns use dynamic PDF lures tailored to the targeted organizations. Source, The Hacker News. Malicious script removes alternate data streams to evade detection. SANS ISC handler documented malicious script that removes Windows Zone identifier alternate data stream adds to evade defer investigations. After copying itself to %appdata %backslash Windows /Microsoft /templates /DWM. CMD and creating run key persistence, the script uses PowerShell to remove the ADS that indicates file origin. 0 equals my computer, 1 equals local intranet, 2 equals trusted sites, 3 equals internet, 4 equals restricted sites. Contrary to some LLM outputs, Windows copy operations do preserve ADS. The script later deploys Donut Loader via PowerShell. Source, Sans ISC. CrowdStrike Falcon for IT supports Windows Secure Boot Certificate Lifecycle Management. CrowdStrike announced Falcon for IT now supports Windows Secure Boot Certificate Lifecycle Management, helping organizations maintain secure boot integrity across their Windows device fleets. Source, CrowdStrike. Next section, Trends and Context. Supply chain attacks dominate today's threat landscape, with 2 major campaigns. Axios NPM compromise by North Korean Sapphire Sleet demonstrates nation-state actors weaponizing trusted JavaScript libraries with platform-specific RATs, while the ongoing Team PCP/Light LLM campaign continues expanding with Merkur as the first confirmed victim and documented AWS enumeration TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures. Zero-day exploitation remains consistent with 4 Chrome 0 days patched since January and TrueConf 0-day targeting government infrastructure. Healthcare and manufacturing sectors face disproportionate ransomware pressure from Killen and Netrunner groups, with Japan experiencing 17.5% year-over-year increase in incidents. Federal patching deadlines for Chrome, April 15, and F5 BIG-IP already past March 30, create urgency, yet over 14,000 BIG-IP instances remain vulnerable. That concludes today's cyber threat brief. From Carolina Clear Tech. Stay patched, stay vigilant.